Hey everyone, Once Bitten here, the Battle Report. So this is a rematch of the game I played in my previous Battle Report. A revised Empire list versus a very slightly revised Warriors of Chaos list. There's a couple big concerns I had with my previous list. One, it was losing, but I think that was more of my lack of playing well than it was just the list. But what I didn't like about it was if I felt like it played like a gun line. I had two big hordes of troops, they just sat back. There was no incentive to move forward. I just tried to shoot people. And it's just not a fun way to play. So to make up for its weaknesses, to make it a little more enjoyable, I changed it, and I'll go through the list in just a minute. My opponent changed his list ever so slightly. I know that he gave banners to all his Chaos Knight units and tweaked the build on his BSB. Yeah, but otherwise it's mostly the same list. So starting on the right, he's got some War Dogs. Those obviously are unmarked. He's got some Marauders behind him. Everything in his army except for the War Dogs and his general, everything is marked Khorne. So there's that, and I think he's put the dogs in front of those guys so they're not failing frenzy tests trying to get to my cannon. 2 units of Chaos Knights. There in the woods, he's got 4 Skull Crushers with his Battle Standard Bearer. I know his BSB has a Charmed Shield, and I know he has a 4-up ward. After that, I just don't remember. Let's see, there's a chariot behind him, or more Chaos Knights. There he's got his level 4 on disc. I know he has a scroll. I know he has the 3-up reroll 1's ward save. Other than that, I don't know, and it doesn't matter. The weird Carnosaurus model there is another chariot. He's got 3 more Skull Crushers, another chariot, another unit of Marauders, and 3 more units of dogs. So pretty straightforward list. I like it. I mean, it just there's a lot of one-up killiness in this list. In the far left corner, I've got a cannon. Put a unit of 3 demigryphs, and these guys do have a banner. That was very risky because if they ever flee, that's 1/3 of the unit that's going to die. But I put it there because in the tournament I'm going to, they have a lot of objectives, and having a banner, you need that to claim the objectives. In the house, I have my Hellblaster volley gun. What I like about that is it gives me 360-degree shooting. What I don't like about it is it's off enough in the corner that there's going to be it's going to be easy for my opponent just to avoid it with a lot of things. Behind it, I've got a detachment of archers. In with the archers, I have my level 4 Shadow. He has nothing else on him. Now this list, actually I took Lore of Metal, but I didn't want to play Lore of Metal against my opponent's list because I felt that it was too much of a crutch. It almost seemed like it was custom made for it. So I took Shadow because I thought it was a very competitive choice, but not quite so obvious. Level 1, the model isn't there at the moment. I forgot to put him on the table. And I've got a Master Engineer. Next to that, I've got 39 Halberdiers with a detachment, their second detachment in front of them. I've got 12 Inner Circle Knights, BSB Archlector, Hurricane behind them, Captices to the right, and then a unit of 4 Demigryph Knights with the Gleaming Pennant. 10 archers with the banner in the woods, and then another cannon in the corner. So the cannons in the corner, the idea here is that he can go get it, and it's just really not a big deal, especially if it's a light unit going at it. With my archers as close as they are, it means I can also toy with them a little bit. I get a couple turns of shooting. I might force panic tests, stuff like that. So I win the turn to go first, and I actually move up a little bit, which felt nice. Yeah, so overall it looks like that. Over here on the left, I think the Hellblaster volley gun only had 1 target, or 2, but either way it was going to be dogs. So I fired at 1, killed only 4 of them, and yeah, they fled, and it panicked another unit of dogs. So wait, let's go back up. I lied about all that. The first unit of dogs, I think my demis charged and they fled, and the second one was shooting. Over here I shot a cannon at his BSB, and that's when I found out he had a Charmed Shield. So I said, okay, that's fine. That's why I bring 2. The second cannon opens up, it hits him, and I roll a 1 to wound. I'm like, okay, that BSB needs to die. Need him to die. Over here, my archers open up on the dogs. I only kill 1 out of 4. I felt that was, well, I mean, whatever. It's not a big deal. I was hoping to force a panic test because their leadership isn't that great, and there's a good chance they'd run off the board and just be done with it. And I was thinking that the Marauders would have to take a panic test, but I forgot they were marked Khorne. So we go to Warriors turn 1. He moves up like that. Over here, So he had 4 dogs left, and he charges my archers, and I do a stand and shoot and kill 4. Or I killed 1 and he failed to panic. I don't remember. Either way, either way, it was nice. I think his marauders failed. They failed their frenzy and had to charge, and they failed their charge. Over here on the left, he's just doing that. So really, all his killing us is kind of to the right, my right side of the board, because of the hurricane, of the Hellblaster volley gun. Which I don't know. At first, I didn't like it, and then I was thinking, you know. But the thing is, when anything on the left-hand side of the board, there's so few things that there's an obvious target. I just take 1 unit a turn, and it demolishes it. If he had, 2 units of Skull Crushers and a unit of Chaos Knights here on the left side of the board, I might really hurt one of them, but he would have 2 that I couldn't touch. So meanwhile, these guys they're somewhat far away on the right-hand side. During the magic phase, he throws Searing Doom, boosted. He gets Irresistible Force, rolls a 7, so it doesn't do him any harm whatsoever, and he kills 4 knights. I don't remember if you did it boosted version or not. So if he did boosted, he must have rolled just horribly afterwards. If it was a regular version, it's just above average. I think these guys have throwing axes, and they kill an archer. And we go to Empire, turn 2. So on the left, you can see the Demogryphs charge a chariot, which was nice. If they had failed that and got countercharged, that just hurts so much more. Captus is on the right. He was on the right side of the building. I really didn't have a great target for him. I mean, there's nothing he can charge and survive. I mean, he can charge either to Chaos Knights and get in a challenge, and maybe, I don't know. Maybe the right move would have been to charge Chaos Knights on the right and just try to hold them up for a while, slow things down. Again, I don't need to kill units outright. I don't need for Captus to go in and beat him and chase him down. If he can just hold up that frontmost unit of knights on the far top right, it holds up the unit behind him, and he would have done his job. What I decided to do instead is he charged a chariot, and what I've going for me is I have a 1-up armor save, and so it's going to be tough for my opponent, even with his strength 5 stuff, to get wounds through. The problem too is that I'm strength 5, he's toughness 5, I only have 3 attacks. It's tough for me to get wounds through to him. So those are the big things. Yeah, there's that. So I have a charge and I have a banner, so if I can just shrug off some wounds, we should be able to win that. There's that. Let's see. There's some kind of shooting going on at the Skull Crushers. I think that's why my Hellblaster volley gun was able to open up on them, and I did 4 wounds, which is better than nothing. On the left, I think he only did 1 wound to my demis. My guys did 3 wounds to that guy. Beat him, could not run him down. And especially after I'd done my shooting, I was hoping I would run into the flank of the Skull Crushers, and you can see that I would have. See, I'm overlapping his base there, but because I shot at him and he removed the nearest model, I didn't get that flank charge. Initially, that was kind of my hope, is to beat the chariot over into the flank of the Skull Crushers. Captus goes in. He does dish out a wound, but he takes 2 in return. That just sucks. So he's sitting on 1 wound remaining, and and it was a tied combat. So because I didn't win combat, my opponent, the guys in the back of that chariot, are still frenzied. So there's 2 extra attacks at strength 5. No bueno. So we go to Warrior's Chaos turn 2. So he charges his Skull Crushers into my Halberdiers, mainly because that way he's not getting shot at anymore, and I can't fault him for that. He thinks, probably rightly, that he's going to be able to stay there for a while and eventually will win it. That it's going to take him a while to kill all those Halberdiers, but his guys are protected and he's not really in any danger. Takes a chariot into my bus of knights, and I think his hope there is just to hold me up. His BSB's unit to the right of the building can see my guys, and it's actually, if you draw a straight line, not that far away, so it's kind of poor positioning on my part. I keep on forgetting that. Whatever. And yeah, the Marauders over here declare a charge against the cannon, so that's going to lose me a cannon. So we didn't talk about shooting last turn. I talked about the Hellblaster volley gun picking on the Skull Crushers. Both of my cannons shot at his Battle Standard Bearer, and they both missed. Or, they either misfired or yada yada, they didn't do anything. So here's close-ups of the charges. His Marauders on the left charged my bowmen. They fled. Luckily, everybody passed their panic. And the chariot rallied. I was a bummer. I don't want that guy to rally. Because, I mean, if he doesn't rally, that means I can just kind of swoop around and start threatening other stuff. Now that he's rallied, I've got to charge in there again, and he's going to get his attacks, and bad things could happen. And these dogs are coming up over here to threaten this other cannon. So I think this is during the magic phase. He gets Searing Doom off again and does 5 wounds to the Demigryph Knights. And after combat over here, yeah, the chariot kind of whiffs. It does a couple wounds, but really for the most part not much. But look at that. My guys do 3 wounds to that. Now we're re-rolling to hit, but we're only strength 4 versus toughness 5, so we just did really well in that combat. I'm pretty sure we won it. Yeah, we won it, and the chariot stuck. And the halberdiers actually did pretty well hitting and wounding, and my opponent made all his armor. So I want to say we did 7 wounds, which I was pretty happy with, and he didn't fail a single one. If he fails even just 1 armor save, 1 model goes away. He doesn't get the Skull Crusher attacks and doesn't get the stomp and all that, and it just helps so much. But 7 wasn't enough. We all stick. Over here, this was really bad. Cavdus takes his 3rd wound, so the chariot just reforms. So now my Demigryphs, really they can't move to get out of line of sight of the rightmost chariot. So the only thing I can really do is charge the top chariot. He's not frenzied anymore, so I'll probably just flee off the board and set up a juicy counter charge into the flank of my demis with his other chariot. And I don't know how to avoid it. Well, one thing I could do is back up and then flee the charge, but it's not in my nature. So we go to Empire turn 3. If you look at the very top middle, the demis charge the chariot. It runs off the board. Otherwise, I back my Demigryphs up because I don't want them getting charged. They're not ready yet to deal with Skull Crushers or those Chaos Knights on the right. Yeah, everything else is as you can see it. That scared me. It scared me a lot, actually. Yeah, the wizards come out. He's over here just so he can lend some Occams or other shadow support on the right. Archers open up on the Marauders and get them out of the way, which is nice. The Hellblaster Volley Gun has no other useful targets, so it kills these dogs, thus saving the cannon, so good enough. And after combat, yeah, so I don't think the chariot does any wounds this time, and we take the last wound off the chariot, so unlikely and very much appreciated. I do wounds to his Skull Crushers, and he fails 1, and just, as I said, it just makes such a big difference. He kind of whiffed his attack, so he ended up losing combat and then fled. And in all honesty, I don't remember why I just stayed there with the halberdiers, but I just stayed there with the halberdiers. And we go to Warriors Chaos turn 3. So the chariot slams to the flank of my Demigryph Knights. His Skull Crusher on the hill rallies. He brings up some fast cav to just tie up my halberdiers. I'm sorry, those are not fast cav. He charges halberdiers with Chaos Knights. That's why I didn't pursue the Skull Crusher, because the Chaos Knights would have charge in the flank, which I still, either way I'm going to lose, and either way I'm going to be steadfast rerollable probably. But I felt this way I had a better chance of sticking around, get more attacks, stuff like that. His Skull Crushers with BSB charge my general's unit, and they fail it, which is just awesome. Because in order to make the charge, they would have to come straight by the house and then wheeled over, and they would have nicked me. So it would have saved just a ton of attacks. He would have moved his BSB over, and that would be the only guy who could have fought me. I would have gotten a challenge with my general, and just hopefully we would have survived it. But because he failed the charge, he has to move directly towards me, which puts him facing the building. It's a very, very awkward position for him. So that was nice. There's that. That's going to hurt on the halberdiers, but I think I should be able to hold up for a few turns. There's that. I breathed much easier after he failed the charge. I mean, truthfully, I don't know what happens if his BSB and my general get a challenge because I have the speculum. It's certainly not automatic for me. We both have 1-up armor saves. I think it just comes down to who gets luckier. Yeah, but it's that. His after killing my cannon and going off the board this turn, his Marauders come back on the board to threaten my archers, which is fine. The archers are just trying to redirect, slow down some knights anyway. After combat, I was kind of surprised both ways on this. One, man, he killed a bunch of halberdiers. He killed an absolute ton of halberdiers. Oh my gosh. Luckily, I did a bunch of wounds to him, and he failed 2 armor saves. So I remember the theme of this game was my opponent won't fail an armor save. and he failed 2 of them. So that was very, very nice. So therefore, because he failed at least 1, I was still steadfast. Very much appreciated. Truthfully, if I had broken on, it was hit my opponent's turn, on my next turn I could have opened up with a Hellblaster and killed those guys. But the problem is I wouldn't have, I wouldn't have rallied. I mean, whatever. Anyway, they stuck. We go to Empire turn 4. So far we've had 3 turns of shooting with Empire, and every time, both cannons are shooting his BSB, and they keep on either misfiring, or I'm rolling to 1 to wound, or he's making his ward save. So, go to Empire turn 4. General's unit with the bus of knights charges into the flank of the Chaos Knights. My demis charge into the front of a unit of Chaos Knights. I don't like that. I mean, if you look at it, well, let's look at it. So there's that. Now, one thing that's important here, I think I would have done this regardless, but one thing that really helps is his champion is the middlemost Chaos Knight. So on my turn, if I issue a challenge with my Archlector, his champion moves over and it blocks all of my attacks. If I don't issue a challenge, my opponent has to because he's Chaos. I can accept with my general, and because the challenger never moves, we sit right where we are. So my whole nice knight bus, hitting on 4s with hatred, strength 6, can all hit his rank and file knight. So that is, it's huge, and it's important to know that stuff in terms of when to challenge, when to not challenge. But this is the one I'm nervous about. I'm already sitting on only 5 wounds left, or 3, 6, 7 wounds left in this unit. If I don't break these guys, I'll get Skull Crushers with the BSB in one flank. Well, and that's all it's going to take. If I do win, I have to overrun. I'll hit his level 4, and then his Chaos Knights on the right. I don't know. I'm worried they might be able to countercharge, but I have my archers up there to try to block them. During the shooting phase, Hellblaster opens up on the Skull Crusher who had rallied. So that's another reason I wasn't too worried about it. Oh, and one thing we never said, I've got to go back up. Look at the top middle. His chariot had charged my demis in the flank. I forgot to report on this, and just whiffed. Him whiffing and my armor saves. I think he did 0 wounds to me, and we actually, I think, did a wound to him. I think we won combat, and broke him. It was just amazing. It was awesome, and unlikely. All right, so there's that. Let's go back up. That's the cannon. My cannon cannot see his BSB, and so it aimed at just the Chaos Knights. And there's a combat going on just in front of him, so I had to aim the cannonball on the ground just after the unit in combat. And the only way I could hit one of these guys was to roll a 2, and I rolled a 2. So that was nice. During the magic phase off, I lowered the initiative on the Chaos Knights, so I get to swing before they swing, and then I got Occam's off. So that makes demis pretty brutal. And they didn't take any wounds. They just absolutely obliterated the unit of Chaos Knights, overran to his general. The problem with this is his general, I hate that 3-up ward save rerolling 1s. It's just rough. So now I'm thinking, he can countercharge, but he has to deal with Occam'd up demigriffs. The problem is these other guys are not miasmid, and so they'll get to swing first. So we go over here. Remember, I charged in with all those attacks. I did a single wound. I thought I was going to wipe out the unit. I did a single wound, and those Chaos Knights stuck. Now I have him on a -1 to hit Ice Shard Blizzard because of my level 1 Heavens. So he's actually not doing that many wounds to my Halberdiers, so I might be able to save all those points, which is kind of nice. Yeah, so there's that. And we go to Warriors turn 4. So his BSB with the Skull Crusher charges the flank of my demigriffs. His other unit, I thought I had them... I thought I had the Chaos Knights blocked, but apparently I didn't. So he was able to get those guys in there. Looks like that. Over here, the now I think he just hit my demis regardless. But one thing he could have done is if he would have charged his Marauders in first, my archers would have shrunk together, and that would have made everything a moot point. Anyway, He charges. I can't even stand and shoot. He's got 3 Marauders left. They hit the woods. He fails 2 dangerous terrain. just rotten luck. And over here, I'm going to challenge his champion with my Archlector. We can't hurt each other. And we just can't. I can't get past his armor save, and it's just a big push. Over on this side of the board, yeah, I want to say my demis did 1 wound to the Chaos Knights on the right. I think I did 1 wound to his BSB, but other than that, they just got combat res to death. They ran away, and the good news of that is it pulled all of his stuff. You know, his Frenzy's troops have to pursue, and so they go to the right. My archers were able to kill the last Marauder, and so they just reformed in combat. Go to Empire turn 5, and so if you look at the demis on the top, they're kind of moving closer just to threaten. But the big news is the archers charge the rear of his general. That's made me so happy. So I'm going into this with 4 combat res of a charge, a rear, and a banner. And I don't think his general is going to do 4 wounds to me. So it's unlikely that he's going to break. But I figure, you know what, for 80 points, that's a chance I'm willing to take. Plus, I've got my level 4 in the building. He can easily cast Occams, and it just makes it scary. Now, with his ward save, it's tough to get wounds through, but it makes it scary. And over here, we're just, oh my gosh. This has turned into the biggest pillow fight. And the funny thing is, he's not even doing many wounds to my Halberdiers. Now, of course, he's not frenzied anymore, and one of his guys is in a challenge. And can't get, and he's done 1 wound to my general. The other guy just, yeah, can't do much. I get Occams off on these guys. I want to say they did a single wound to his general, but he did 4 wounds to them. I won combat, but he easily stuck and then reformed. So it's going to cost me the 80 points, but that was so worth it just for the fun, just for the chance what could have happened. Yeah, we go to Warriors turn 5. He reforms with the Skull Crushers. And these guys finally, I want to say my Archlector finally killed his champion, and I think we actually killed the other guy, so we were just free to reform. And we just did that. My goal now is just to get away from things. There's nothing I have here that's going to hurt what he has. Yeah, so there's just his general beat and ran down my archers. We go to Empire turn 6. I'm just moving my troops to get him away so I don't get charged. And his turn 6, he doesn't really move because there's not a whole lot to do. He does get his general in range of a Searing Doom on my Night Bus. He goes for the boosted version and kills every knight in the unit. So I'm sitting there with just my BSB and the Archlector. And there's the game. So that was first of all, it was a blast to play. I thought my list, I just liked it so much better. I felt I had some mobility. There was a reason for me to move around, but I still had enough shooting that you know, my opponent couldn't just move wherever he wanted. So I like this list a lot better. Shadow, I think, is a very strong lore, but like I said, there was a comp hit taking it to the tournament, so I decided just to stick with Lore of Metal. In this particular game, I think Lore of Metal would have been better. But I think in most games that I might have some games where the Lore of Metal just is wasted. But that's a chance I'm willing to take. Anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. It's been here. Thank you so much for watching the video. I truly hope you enjoyed it. As you know, YouTube has a variety of functions you can use to interact with videos such as this. You can like or comment on the video, you can favorite it, you can share it, and of course you can subscribe to the channel. And I encourage you to do any or all of those things as a way of interacting between viewer and producer. As always, I appreciate your patronage on the channel and wish you all the best.